Creepypastas is back, bitches! If you thought the show was canceled, well, that was just wishful thinking. I was just busy trying to get money out of my daughters. Today's creepypasta is one that's really earned a lot of people's respect, as it's been rated very highly on the Pumpkinometer. Jeff the Killer. Excerpt from a local newspaper. Local to where? We don't know. Ominous unknown killer is still at large. It was really nice of local newspaper to hype up Jeff with the ominous qualifier. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. I thought we just covered that. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. I had a bad dream and woke up in the middle of the night, says the boy. I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed before I went to bed. Well, maybe you should actually latch your windows then, unless Jeff was just already inside the house and just thought you were too annoying to bother killing. I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling like someone was watching me. Usually, no one ever wants to look at me. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light illuminating from between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. Yeah, two usually constitutes a pair. These weren't regular eyes, they were dark, ominous eyes. Oh, it's those special eyes that you get after you've killed people, which are hard to see out of. Or maybe he's just wearing shades and the stupid little dipshit is too stupid to know the difference. They were bordered in black, so he's wearing eyeliner, and just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth, a long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, watching me. Guess there wasn't a whole lot else going on in your room. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it! A simple phrase, but said in a way only a madman could speak. He said, he said, go to sleep. And I said, okay, and had a good sleep. I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. If I'd just gone to bed like he told me, everything would have been okie dokie. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart, which wasn't a normal heart, but one with a black outline. He jumped on my bed, and I just knew I was going to take the fall for this, as I'd already gotten in trouble with Mom for jumping on the bed earlier in the day. I fought him back. I kicked, I punched, I rolled around, trying to knock him off me. That's when Dad busted in. The man threw the knife, it went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't alerted the police. Wow, Jeff the Killer sure is slow. Or maybe the neighbors are psychic with a black outline around their brain. They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash like glass breaking. As I came out of my room, I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. Why hadn't Jeff just used his magic window power again instead of costing us money? I looked out it to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing, I will never forget that face. face! Those cold, evil eyes and that psychotic smile, they will never leave my head! Police are still on the look for this man. If you see anyone that fits the description in this story, that very vague cold eyes description, please contact your local police department. Jeff and his family had just moved into a new neighborhood. Is this the same story? His dad had gotten a promotion at work and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Liu Kang couldn't complain though. A new, better house. What was not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of their neighbors came by. Luckily, this was another psychic neighbor, and they'd already called the police and cut the story off. Hello, she said. I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you. Well, I just wanted to introduce myself and to introduce my son. She turns around and calls her son over. Billy, these are our new neighbors. Billy said hi and ran back to play in his yard. Well, said Jeff's mom, I'm Margaret, and this is my husband Peter and my two sons Jeff and Lou. Riveting storytelling. I see why this one was such a hit. They each introduced themselves. Yeah, we just went over that. Then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday. Jeff and his brother were about to object when their mother said they would love to. When Jeff and his family are done packing, Jeff went up to his mom. Mom, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you hadn't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid. Jeff, said his mother, we just moved here. We should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now we're going to that party, and that's final. Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Until he found those killer eyes and decided, hey, I should become Jeff the Killer. Whenever his mom said something, it was final! He walked up to his room, plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at the ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much a pain, but a weird feeling. Diarrhea! He dismissed it as just some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. The next day, Jeff walked down the stairs again. Jeff the Killer, the story of many stairs. To get breakfast and got ready for school. As he sat there eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. Breakfast was ruined. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain. Jeff was pregnant. But he once again dismissed it. As he and Liu Kang finished breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus, and then all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them. Only inches above their laps. They both jumped back in surprise. Hey, what the hell? The kid landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it with his hands rather than his ass. The extreme 90s kid seems to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Arrow Pole-style shirt and ripped blue jeans. Well, looks like we got some new meat. Kids keep turning to cannibalism younger and younger these days. Suddenly, 2 other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other was huge. Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith. Jeff the Killer, the story of many introductions. Jeff and Lou looked over to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect a sidekick to have. And here's Troy. They looked over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. Really judgmental, disembodied storyteller. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. But And I, said the first kid, am Randy. Now, for all the kids in this neighborhood, there's a small price for bus fare, if you catch my drift. School bus extortion. Never has a more lame tale been told. Lou stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. Tisk, tisk, tisk. I had hoped you'd be more cooperative, but it seems we must do this the hard way. The kid walked up to Lou and took his wallet right out of his pocket. Wallet allergy. Jeff got that feeling again. Now it was truly strong. A burning sensation. He knew he should have watched where he put his dick. He stood up, but Lou gestured for him to sit down. He's trying to do a friendship. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. Listen here, you little punk. Give me back my bro's wallet or else. Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. Oh, and what will you do? Just as he finished the sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Someone wasn't drinking their milk. Randy screamed and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Lou could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. Jeff! How'd you? That was all he said. They saw the bus coming and they knew they'd be blamed for this whole thing, so they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Lou made it to school, Jeff transformed into a car. Jeff's real father was a transformer, and all the weird feelings now made sense. They didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Lou just thought of that as his brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling, he felt how powerful it was. The urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help feeling happy. He didn't like it, but he felt happy? He felt that strange feeling go away and stay away for the whole entire day of school. Even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop and how now he probably wouldn't be taking the bus anymore, he felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked how his day was, and he said in a somewhat ominous voice, it was a wonderful day. His parents said, "Law, that's our Jeff the Killer," and went back to fucking. Next morning, he heard a knock at his front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at the door, his mother looking back at him with an angry look. Okay, I might have exaggerated slightly about what a wonderful day it was, Mom. Jeff, these officers tell me that you attacked 3 kids, that it wasn't regular fighting, and that they were stabbed. Stabbed, son! Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Lou. Son, said one of the cops, that's good enough for us. You're free to go. We found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, 1 having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now what does that tell us? Jeff knew it was no use. He could say that him and Lou had been attacked, but there was no proof that it was not them who attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing because, truth be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Lou. Except they could probably look into this whole school bus extortion racket these kids were running. Son, call down your brother. Jeff couldn't do it since it was him who beat up all the kids. Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Lou tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me. The cop looked at his partner and they both nod. Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie. These cops did not believe in due process. What? Says Lou. They all looked up to see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked them on Lou. It was me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin! I beat up those little pugs. Have the mugs to prove it. He lifted up his sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises, as if he was in a struggle. Son, just put the knife down, said the officer. Oh yeah, said Lou. The dramatics were probably unnecessary. Lou held up the knife and dropped it on the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. No, Lou, it was me. I did it. Jeff had tears running down his face. Huh, poor bro, tried to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away. The police led Lou to the patrol car. After all, he's the one who signs their checks. Lou, tell them it was me. Tell them I was the one who beat up those kids. Jeff's mother put his hand on his shoulders. Jeff, please, I know you want the credit, but sometimes life isn't fair. Deal with it. We know it's Lou. You can stop. Even though his mother knew that it was Jeff earlier by his guilty looking down at the floor, but I guess walking out with a knife and saying it was me is enough solid evidence. Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car speeds off with Lou inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled into the driveway, seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong. Son, what is it? Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him as Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back into the house. Seeing his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed, he couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought of Lou when it was his fault. He just went to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off his mind. 2 days went by with no word from Lou at the JDC. No investigation, no asking the kids that were beat up and stabbed who actually did it. But worst of all, no friends to hang out with. Nothing but sadness and guilt. That is until Saturday, when Jeff is woke up by his mother with a happy, sunshiny face. Jeff, it's the day, she said as she opened the curtains and let light flood into his room. Clearly, Lou wasn't the favorite. What's today? Asked Jeff as he stirs awake. Why, it's Billy's party! He was now fully awake! Mom, you're joking, right? You don't expect me to go to some kid's party after... There was a long pause. Jeff, we both know what happened. I think this party could be the thing that brightens up the past days. Now get dressed! Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get ready herself. He fought himself to get up. He picked out a random shirt and a pair of jeans and walked down the stairs. His parents had already picked out a tombstone for Lou. We're over him, Jeff. We suggest you get over him too. He saw his mother and father all dressed up. His mother in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought, why would they ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party? Son, is that how you're gonna wear? Said Jeff's mom. Better than wearing too much, he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him and hid it with a smile. Wow, psychotic? Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed, but this is how you go if you want to make an impression, said his father. Jeff grunted and went back up to his room. I don't have any fancy clothes. yelled downstairs. "Just pick up something," called his mother. He looked around in his closet for what he would call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants he had for special occasions and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it though. He looked around and only found striped and patterned shirts, none of which would go with dress pants. He finally found a white hoodie and put it on. "You're wearing that?" they both said. Jeff the Killer, the story of the clothing that's not adequate enough for a child's birthday party. His mother looked at her watch. "Oh, no time to change, let's just go," she said as she herded Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked on the door, and at it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults, no kids. "The kids are out in the yard, Jeff. How about you go and meet some of them?" said Barbara. Jeff walked outside to a yard full of kids. Phew, guess that whole no kids at the kids' party tension is over. They were running around in weird cowboy costumes and shooting each other with plastic guns. Apparently, Jeff had been transported back to the 50s. He might as well be standing in a Toys R Us. No. Suddenly, a kid came up to him and handed him a toy gun and hat. "Ha, wanna play?" he said. No, kid. I'm way too old for this stuff." The kid looked at him with a weird puppy dog face. "Please," said the kid. "Fine," said Jeff. He put on the hat and started to pretend to shoot at the kids. At first he thought it was totally ridiculous, but then he started to actually have fun. It might not have been super cool, but it was the first time he had done something that took his mind off of Lou. So he played with the kids for a while until he heard a noise. A weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence on their skateboards. Jeff dropped the fake gun and ripped off the hat. Randy looked at Jeff with a burning hatred. "Hello, Jeff, is it?" he said. "We have some unfinished business." Jeff saw his bruised nose. "I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you, and you get my brother sent to JDC. "Oh yeah, they did arrest the wrong one. We hadn't noticed. Randy got an angry look in his eyes. "Oh no, I don't go for even, I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that one day, but not today. Though of course if you do, we'll tell." What a badass gang. As he said that, Randy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose, and Jeff grabbed him by the ears and headbutted him. Jeff pushed Randy off of him, and both rose to their feet. Kids were screaming and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith both pulled guns out of their pockets. "No one interrupts or guts will fly." Oh fuck, this is stupid. They said. Lots of saying in this story. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed it into his shoulder. We don't actually know how to use these guns. Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy started kicking him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabs his foot and twists it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up and walked towards the back door. Troy grabbed him. "Need some help?" He picks Jeff up by the back of the collar and throws him through the patio door. As Jeff tries to stand, he is kicked down to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he starts to cough up blood. You know, this might hurt your case against his brother. "Come on, Jeff. Fight me!" He picks Jeff up and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes the glass over Jeff's head. "Fight!" Who invited Shao Kahn? He throws Jeff back into the living room. "Come on, Jeff. look at me. Jeff glances up, his face riddled with blood. I was the one who got your brother sent to JDC, and now you're just gonna sit here and let him rot there for a whole year? You should be ashamed. Jeff starts to get up. Oh, finally, stand and fight. Jeff is now to his feet, blood and vodka on his face. It's not a good children's party without some booze. Where the hell are the psychic neighbors with their police during all this? Guess these kids really had the place all locked down very tightly. These skateboarding morons are pros. Once again, he gets that strange feeling, the one in which he hasn't felt for a while. Finally, he's up, says Randy as he runs at Jeff. That's when it happens. Something inside Jeff snaps. His psyche is destroyed. All rational thinking is gone. Where was it before this? All he can do is kill. He grabs Randy and pile drives him to the ground. But that move's banned. He gets on top of him and punches him straight in the heart. The punch causes Randy's heart to stop. Yeah, sure it did. As Randy gasps for breath, Jeff hammers down on him, punch after punch. Blood gushes from Randy's body until he takes one final breath and dies. Everyone is looking at Jeff now. The parents, the crying kids, even Troy and Keith. Oh, they weren't off getting cake? Although they easily break from their gaze and point their guns at Jeff. Jeff sees the guns trained on him and runs for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let out fire on him, each shot missing. Jeff runs up the stairs. He hears Troy and Keith follow up behind. As they let out their final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks into the bathroom. He grabs the towel rack and rips it off the wall. Troy and Keith race in. Nice, ready. Guess after they missed a few shots, the guns are now completely useless. Troy swings his knife at Jeff, who backs away and bangs the towel rack into Troy's face. Troy goes down hard, and now all that's left is Keith. He is more agile than Troy, though, and ducks when Jeff swings the towel rack. He dropped the knife and grabbed Jeff by the neck. He pushed him into the wall. Thing of bleach fell down on top of them from the top shelf. It burnt both of them and they both started to scream. Jeff wiped his eyes as best he could. He pulled back the towel rack and swung it right into Keith's head. As he lay there bleeding to death, he let out an ominous smile. Least you forget our word of the day. Ominous! What's so funny? Asked Jeff. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched it on. What's funny, he said, is that you're covered in bleach and alcohol. Jeff's eyes widened as Keith threw the lighter at him. Unfortunately, the alcohol content isn't quite high enough to do that much, and the lighter just poofs out and nothing happens. As soon as the flame made contact with him, the flames ignited the alcohol in the vodka. While the alcohol burned him, the bleach bleached his skin. Jeff let out a terrible screech as he caught on fire. He tried to roll out of the fire, but it was no use. The alcohol had made him a walking inferno. Just like any store brand vodka wouldn't. He ran down the hall and fell down the stairs. Everyone started screaming as they saw Jeff. Now a man on fire dropped to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing Jeff saw was his mother and the other parents trying to extinguish the flame. That's when he passed out. This story was just too stupid for him to stay conscious. When Jeff woke, he had a cast wrapped around his face. He couldn't see anything, but he felt a cast on his shoulder and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but realized that there was some tube in his arm. When he tried to get up, it fell out, and a nurse rushed in. I don't think you can get out of bed just yet, she said as she put him back in bed and reinserted the tube. Jeff sat there with no vision, no idea what his surroundings were. Finally, after hours, he heard his mother. You don't have a lot of career options left for you now, honey. You should become a killer. Okay, said Jeff. The end. Honey, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, honey? Honey, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, honey? she asked. Jeff couldn't answer though. His face was covered and he was unable to speak. Oh honey, I have great news. That gum you like is gonna come back in style. After all the witnesses told the police that Randy confessed of trying to attack you, they decided to let Lou go. This made Jeff almost bolt up, stopping halfway, remembering the tube coming out of his arm. He'll be out by tomorrow, and then the two of you will be able to be together again. Oh, except for you, you're going to jail. Jeff's mother hugs Jeff and says her goodbyes. The next couple of weeks were those where Jeff was visited by his family. Then the day came where his bandages were to be removed. His family were all there to see it, what he would look like. As the doctors unwrapped the bandages from Jeff's face, everyone was on the edge of their seats. This is gonna be great, exclaimed Lou as he ate popcorn. They waited until the last bandage holding the cover over his face was almost removed. Let's hope for the best, said the doctor. He quickly pulls the cloth, letting the rest fall from Jeff's face. Jeff's mother screams at the sight of his face. Oops, I mean, looks good, honey. Lou and Jeff's dad stare awestruck at his face. Tact was something not considered very important at the Jeff the Killer household. What happened to my face? Jeff said. He rushed out of the bed and ran to the bathroom. He looked in the mirror and saw the cause of the distress. His face, it's horrible. His lips were burnt to a deep shade of red. His face was turned into a pure white color and his hair singed from brown to black. He slowly put his hand to his face. It had a sort of leathery feel to it now. He looked back at his family, then back at the mirror. Jeff, said Lou. What-a-da! It's not that bad. Not that bad, said Jeff. It's perfect! His family were equally surprised. Jeff started laughing uncontrollably. His parents noticed that his left eye and head were twitching. Jeff, are you okay? I mean, has something happened to you recently? Okay, I've never felt more happy. Ha 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 ha! Look at me! This face goes perfectly with me! He couldn't stop laughing. So, happy ending, I suppose. He stroked his face, feeling it, looking at it in the mirror. What caused this? Well, you may recall that when Jeff was fighting Randy, something changed in his mind. His sanity snapped. Yes, thank you for the little recap there, Story. Now he was left as a crazy killing machine, that is. His parents didn't know. Well, he seemed pretty okay in the hospital before this. Did his new stupid face have to remind him that he went crazy earlier? Doctor, said Jeff's mom, is my son alright, in the head? Oh yes, this behavior is typical for shitty stories, for patients that have taken very large amounts of painkillers. This doctor should be fired immediately. If his behavior doesn't change in a few weeks, bring him back here and we'll try rotating his tires. And we'll give him a psychological test. Oh, thank you, doctor. Jeff's mom went over to Jeff. Jeff, sweetie, it's time to go. Jeff looks away from the mirror, his face still formed into a crazy smile. Hey, Bobby, ha ha ha. His mother took him by the shoulder and took him to get his clothes. Would you just fucking end, Story? We get it. This is what came in, said the lady at the desk. Jeff's mom looked down to see black dress pants and the white hoodie her son wore. Now they were clean of blood and now stitched together. Jeff's mom led him to this room where she made him put his clothes on. Then they left, not knowing that this was the final day of their life. Later that night, Jeff's mother woke to a sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded as if someone was crying. She slowly walked down to see what it was. When she looked in the bathroom, she saw a horrendous sight. Jeff had taken a knife and carved a smile into his cheeks. Jeff, what are you doing? Asked his mother. Ever seen The Dark Knight? He replied. Jeff looked over to his mother. I couldn't keep smiling, Mommy. It hurt after a while. Now I can smile forever. Jeff's mother noticed his eyes, ringed and black. Jeff, your eyes! His eyes were seemingly never closing. I couldn't see my face. I got tired and my eyes started to close. I burned out the eyelids so I could forever see myself, my new face. Jeff's mother slowly started to back away. Her son was vain as fuck. Seeing that her son was going insane. What's wrong, Mommy? Aren't I beautiful? Yes, son, she said. Yes, you are. But let me go get Daddy so you can see your face. She ran into the room and shook Jeff's dad from his sleep. Honey, get the gun. We have a minor situation. She stopped as she saw Jeff in the doorway holding a knife. Mommy, you lied! That's the last thing they hear as Jeff rushes at them with a knife, gutting both of them. His brother Lou woke up, startled by some noise. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes and tried to go back to sleep. As he was on the border of slumber, he got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up before Jeff's hand covered his mouth. He slowly raised the knife, almost as slow as this damn story, ready to plunge into Lou. Lou thrashed here and there, trying to escape Jeff's grip. Shh, Jeff said. I was so upset that you went to jail instead of me, but I'm crazy now. So just go to sleep. And so finally ends Jeff the Killer. That was way more 90s kid moves into new neighborhood and has to deal with bullies meets Rob Zombie's Halloween than I thought it was going to be. But this is a real cautionary tale that you shouldn't make your kids pal around with the neighbors that they don't really want to. Also, you shouldn't move to places where the police just hand out sentences at the door.